Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be continuing looking over some potential draft prospects in the 2021 draft. And today, we're going to be talking about USC power forward fast center, Evan Mobley. So, Mobley has been making a lot of headlines. He's one of the top prospects in the NBA draft. Most people have him going second overall after Cade Cunningham. And with good reason. Evan Mobley, a generational talent, and put up some really impressive statistics in college. 33 games played for the USC Trojans and averaged 16.4 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 3 blocks a game, which is really impressive, on 57% efficiency from the field and 30% efficiency from three, which is a little bad, but he only shot about an attempt a game anyway, so that's not a big issue for Evan Mobley. That is something that he can definitely work on. As far as his draft comparisons go, most draft profile has him compared to Chris Bosh and LaMarcus Aldridge, which are both, those are both two all-time level players at their positions. And so the fact that Evan Mobley is getting this comparison is really nice. And so what I wanted to ask is, for Rockets fans who may not be entirely familiar with Evan Mobley, what can they expect with Evan Mobley and a potential front court for the Rockets?
They can expect a generational talent, kind of like you mentioned. He has the unique ability to be able to pass the ball, dribble. He can even play a little point guard if you want, even though it's not necessarily necessary. But he can run the entire floor. He can run down in transition. He can go into the post. He can shoot the three. He can kind of do everything you want. And Coach Steven Silas would absolutely love having a guy like Evan Mobley on his team. He can put him anywhere from the 3, the 4, the 5. Not necessarily the 3, but expect him to play the 4 or 5 alongside Christian Wood, who everybody loves. It'd be a really great pairing. He could do a lot with that, and he would be absolutely amazing on the Rockets.
Yeah, and with his play style, him and Christian Wood, a front court would be really dynamic, especially if you can have Evan Mobley develop his jump shot over his first few seasons in the NBA. And the idea of having Evan Mobley and Christian Wood in the front court, in my opinion, is just as enticing of a prospect as having Cade Cunningham and Kevin Porter Jr. in the backcourt, or Jalen Suggs and Kevin Porter Jr. in the backcourt. And one aspect of Evan Mobley's game that Christian Wood has a little bit of, but not as much of, is vertical spacing, and the fact that he is a much more of a lob threat than Christian Wood is. And that when you have a dynamic point guard or facilitator in Kevin Porter Jr., having someone who can be a lob threat for you, that's really good to have. And Christian Wood, one of his deficiencies has been his ability to be a rim protector. The Rockets have been running him a lot at center, and because of that, he's had to do a lot of the job of guarding opponent centers, guarding people like Nikola Jokic and those elite centers, and he hasn't really been able to hold his own on the defensive side of the ball because he's not a very good rim protector. But when you have a guy like Evan Mobley who can block shots, as you could see, average 3 blocks a game over his own first and only college season with USC. And the fact that he is such a good shot blocker is really good to see. And how much of that do you think can translate into the NBA?
It'd be a perfect fit. He's able to guard all around the entire floor. He can guard the perimeter, the post, kind of do what you're saying about guarding those elite centers a lot better than you would see from a guy like Christian Wood. He has all those blocks you're talking about. He can guard anyone his size. He can keep up with point guards, which you would love to see from anybody. I know the Rockets used to kind of do a thing where they switched everything, and that would kind of fit into that philosophy if they wanted to go back to that again. But Evan Mobley would be a really good fit with the Rockets, and it would kind of fill out the roster a little more, like Christian Wood go down to the 4 like you're talking about. And I think that'd be a really good fit next to Wood, kind of let each other play their own game. And Mobley, right, he does need to develop his shot a little bit. I think he only shot 30% from 3. So if it gets better at that, it makes them even more elite alongside the good shooters like Kevin Porter Jr., even Christian Wood can shoot a little bit. And Rockets, I'm sure, will put even more shooters on their roster. And Evan Mobley I think would be really good. I'm not sure if he'd be a better pick than Cade Cunningham, but those are the 2 top prospects every single team should look for, and they're all great. But Evan Mobley is a lot different from Cade Cunningham, of course, the different positions and all of that, but they're generational talents, and he would do really good on the Rockets.
Yeah, I don't think you can really go wrong with either Cunningham or Mobley. If you do get the first pick, you're obviously taking Cunningham, pairing him with pairing him with Porter Jr. in the backcourt, and that'll be really, really good. And also taking Mobley, then you have the opportunity to pair him with Christian Wood in the front court, and that's another force to reckon with. Either or is going to be really good for the Rockets, and both will fit beautifully for us. And Evan Mobley's flexibility and the fact that he has a very versatile game makes it so much easier for him to fit into with other players. And the fact that he can do all of these things, he's a high IQ player. He can rim protect, he can play make, he can do all of those things, and that's it's really, really valuable for a player that's heading into the draft. And I think if the Rockets do end up with the second pick, there is a very, very popular debate and a very good debate of should you take Jalen Suggs or Evan Mobley with the second pick. I think with the Rockets, you can't really go wrong with either. If you want to hear us talk about Jalen Suggs and how he would fit on the Rockets, we also made a video about that as well. And so if you want to check that out, you can do that. But again, given that, if we do end up among the bottom 3 records in the league, we will have an equal shot at that first pick. But the lower we go, the more likely it is that we end up with maybe the second pick or the third pick. And that's when you start to look into a guy like Evan Mobley or Jalen Suggs and see how they would fit. But yeah, I think the skill set that Evan Mobley displays is really it's very flexible, and I think it would fit beautifully for us on the Rockets in a front court pairing with Christian Wood. And any last things that you would like to point out for us about Evan Mobley that we haven't known yet?
Well, we talked about his versatility, like you said, and I think that's exactly why a team like the Rockets should be looking at him. I talked earlier about how he can fill out the roster, and he would do just that, kind of make the roster a little easier to build. When you have a guy like Evan Mobley, you can move all around, and it kind of, in a way, slows the rebuild. You have the pieces you need. You kind of build slowly off of that. And things don't work out with certain players, you can move on from them, but you have the key pieces like Porter Jr., Mobley, and Christian Wood, and Tate, Kenyon Martin Jr., and all of that. And I think that would make the Rockets pretty good for the future.
Yeah, and again, his flexibility is what makes him so good. And should the Rockets end up with the second pick, I think it'll be really interesting to see. Do they take Evan Mobley or do they take Jalen Suggs? Again, in my opinion, I don't think you can go wrong with either. But let us know who you think is a better prospect down in the comments. Do you think that if the Rockets get the second pick, should we get Jalen Suggs or should we take Evan Mobley? Let us know down in the comments section and we will talk about it there. Of course, if you want to see us talk about Jalen Suggs, we will also have it linked right now and you can check that out. And of course, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.